Men, welcome to part 2 of our mental toughness metaphor. We're climbing the mountain of mental toughness. Last week we dealt with the first 5 out of the 9 steps to mental toughness. Today we're going to go back and review our first 5 steps to mental toughness, and we're going to conclude with the last 4. You are going to walk away with some outstanding tools to grow your mental resolve. Man, as you know, we collect one impact story a day for every day of the year. That is our goal. An impact story is a story of transformation that either you've witnessed in your own life or someone has witnessed in you. It also can be a moment in time where you've had a defining moment. God has used our materials to cause a decisive act to grow. This one comes from a guy named Logan, and he said this. This comes from Logan on Facebook, and he said this. This comes from Logan on Facebook in response to our 1,000th episode post. He said, I started from episode 1 2 years ago, and I'm now at 986. Almost caught up and won't know what to do with my car rides once I am caught up. Even got my son the engraved buck knife and gave it to him for his 18th birthday. May God continue to bless men in the arena. Man, that is so cool. Welcome to part 2 in our series on mental toughness. Remember, last week we climbed the mountain of mental toughness. We got to the summit, and we have purpose was the first step. Purpose, which is the who you are, which is the hand that you've been dealt. We have number 2 is principles, which are the big rocks. These are your values. These are the big 4 to 6 value rhythms in your life. Number 3, we have the practice. It's practicing these habits over time. Remember, they compound over time. Number 4 is persistence, which is grit. It's beating the dead horse. It's trusting God through all circumstances, good or bad. And then finally, the summit of mountain toughness is proclamation. It is the inability that you have as a believer to separate your faith from what you do. It's your inability to keep your mouth shut. It's Paul and John telling the Pharisees, we will not be quiet about what we believe. So let's jump into the final 4. Just an overview. They are people, physiology, pain, and play. So let's jump into this. Okay, the first thing is this. Over and over again, if you do not have a team in place, if you do not have your people in place, if you do not have an inner circle to help you become the man that God has called you to be, you will fail miserably. It's picking the right wife. It's having the right inner circle. You are the product of the top 3 to 5 people that you hang out with. I love what Proverbs 27:17 says. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Interestingly, that word for another is also translated in the English countenance. In some translations, it's the Hebrew word pene, P-E-N-E, and it literally means your face. So I thought, what does that mean to me? Well, here's what it means. It means that my face, my countenance, my eyes will represent the kind of man I am to you and the people I hang out with. In fact, I want to be around men who have the eye of the tiger. I want to be around people who sharpen my face, right? Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another man's face. I want to be around people who are face sharpening ingredients. And sometimes I need my face sharpened. Other times I sharpen someone else's face. The bottom line is this. We need to have relationships that are mutually sharpening. If you're always sharpening a certain person and they're never sharpening you, it is time for you to move them out of your inner circle and move them into another space in your life. How about 2 Corinthians 6:14? It says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. We need to be very careful who we pull into our inner circle, because that inner circle, if it's not dominated by believers, you will have nobody speaking into your soul, and you will be in danger of falling off this mental toughness mountain. And finally, 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, hey, do you not know that bad company corrupts good morals? Again, it goes back to this inner circle. We need to have people around us who will keep us sharp, who will challenge us, who will call us out, who will call us in, and who will call us up. That's what we need in our life. We need to have a team of people around us. Our peers shape us much more than we want to admit. Your bride shapes you much more than you may want to admit. Quitting, listen to this, quitting often happens in clusters. I realized something in the 70s. I was a little kid in the 70s, and I noticed all my parents' friends were getting divorced. And man, I just knew that my parents would be next because everyone around them was divorcing. Sure enough, 1978, I got the "It's not your fault we're getting a divorce" speech on my birthday. So here's what I'm trying to say to you guys. If you want to achieve greatness in your life, you want to become a man who is mentally tough, who has fortitude, has grit, get around people who are like that. Because just as quitting happens in clusters, so does winning. Winning happens in clusters. So get around people. I think 90% of your problem is the people that you choose to associate with. For me personally, and this may sound cruel, I'm utilitarian in my relationships. I don't stick around and have people in my inner circle if they're not going to lift me up and challenge me. I just don't do it. And I don't want to be in somebody else's inner circle if I'm not contributing to them. So your friends aren't forever. Your friends are people and relationships you have to help you to become the man that God has called you to be. We will adopt our habits of weaknesses if we're around weaker habits people. If we're around stronger people, we'll adopt habits of strength. Identify those who epitomize your purpose, values, and version of mental toughness, and identify and connect with those people. So you have to ask that question. Where can you go to identify with people who will help you climb the mountain of mental toughness? Find those people. They are gold. Seventh step, we have a couple more to go, is physiology. We're getting a little practical now, guys. So there's a part of mental toughness that is actually physical. You can read about this in my book. In my book, Dialed In, there's a chapter called The Vigilant Man, and I talk about the physiology of being vigilant. In that chapter, I couple that with another chapter, The Moderate Man, because the things that we put into our body, whether it be guys that think marijuana is okay, or being drunk is okay, or overeating is okay, these things that we put into our body have either a adverse effect on our bodies, or they have an advancing effect on our bodies. In Dialed In, I talk about the vigilant man who he's physiologically in a constant state of being calm and yet alert. So in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 through 8, Paul tells us, do not be anxious for anything, but in all things through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God, and the God of peace, who transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus our Lord. Then we have Romans 12:2, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world. Notice I'm using some of the same verses over and over again. But be conformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will know the will of God, his good and pleasing and perfect will. We have to identify the things that knock us off our mentally tough mindset. I got to be honest with you guys. For the last 2 weeks, I've slept horribly. My circadian rhythm is off. I don't know why. I'm doing all the same things. I'm not sure if it's because it's getting lighter out here in Oregon at like 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I've traveled 5 of the last 6 weekends speaking, but I am off right now and I'm feeling it. I am physiologically weaker and it's affecting my mental game. I'm just confessing that to you guys. We have to identify the things that knock us down. We must be in a routine that keeps us mentally tough. When we get out of our routine, it throws us off. Here are some things that physiologically help me. I work out. I owe my body 4 workouts a week. So 4 workouts a week minimum. Sometimes I'm at 3, sometimes at 5, but I average 4 a week. Generally, working out gives me 30% more energy during the day. Another thing is this, posture. When you walk into the room, when I walk into a building, I walk with my chest out, back straight, shoulders back. I walk as a man who is confident, who is on display. We need to stop slouching. We need to stop doing what people are calling the Gen Z stare, looking at the ground. Look people in the eye. Shake their hand, firm grip, look them in the eye every time. When I walk into the room, I want to set the temperature in that room. I want to raise and elevate that room by my presence. I want the people in that room by my presence to feel safer. I position myself always where I can see the door. And I'll tell you what else I do. I do this every day. I always carry a knife. I carry a knife every day, and now I've been carrying a flashlight. I carry a light and a flashlight every day because here's why. Because these tell me to physically position myself for action. I pretty much use the knife every day. I've already used it 3 times today, and it's 9:15 in the morning. But I'll tell you what, it's not about using this knife that matters. What it's about is it's a reminder, it's a mnemonic device that I'm ready. I'm physically ready for action. I may never have to use this knife in any kind of combat situation. I wouldn't even know what to do. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But I'll tell you what, I'm ready. And if something happens, the people in my room depend on me to make them feel safe. So this is what I do. I try to do these things as a practice. When I walk with my wife, I walk on the street side. When I open the car door for her, I do it for her first. I do certain things physiologically to train my brain to be mentally strong. I hope this makes sense to you guys. Let's move on to number 8. Number 8, and this is another one that's obvious, pain and adversity. Look at the words of Paul and the adversity he experienced over his life. His life actually ended by being beheaded, but he writes this while he's still alive in verses 24 to 27 of 2 Corinthians 11. 5 times I received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was pelted with stones. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. I've been constantly on the move. I have been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from my fellow Jews, in danger from Gentiles, in danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea, and in danger from false believers. I have labored and toiled and have often gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst. I've often gone without food. I have been cold and naked. Same guy said that in Philippians 4:12 said, I've learned the secret of being content in every circumstance. Verse 13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. There is no education like adversity. Adversity is the number one thing we can do to become mentally tough. We have to invite suffering into our life. You truly build mental toughness when you choose to do hard things that cause suffering. You don't build strength until you experience pain and test yourself. I have 7, I think it's up to 7 health phrases now, and one of them is suffering is an emotion. So in other words, stretch yourself daily, suffer daily, do hard things in your life. There are 2 types of adversity that we have in our life, 2 types of pain. One is engineered. In other words, you manufacture it, you create it. I'm going to go work out and I'm going to suffer. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to go climb a mountain. I'm going to go ride a bike. I'm going to go golf, but I'm going to walk the course instead of taking the golf cart. I'm going to go play pickleball. Well, I'm not going to. Have fun with that. That's an Achilles pull waiting to happen, man. So engineered, you seek out the challenge. The second one is unexpected. This is chaos. This is adversity that comes to you and you're not expecting it. You don't deserve it. So that's why I carry the pocket knife. That's why I carry a tactical pin on an airplane. That's why I carry a flashlight. I want to be mentally ready when something happens, so I'm not sitting there doing this, praying for somebody to come and save me who actually is ready. I love the Spartan saying, those who sweat in training bleed less in battle. We just need to learn to endure, guys. We need to invite pain into our lives. Every day I grow weaker driving my truck with its air-conditioned seats, heated steering wheel. I get in that car and I go, man, I'm getting weaker. Man, it sure feels good, but man, I'm getting weaker. We have to do things. And I'll tell you this, guys, at 60, it's a lot easier to be comfortable. At 30, I had a lot more energy. I had a lot more faster recovery time. My body hurt less. I had less body parts replaced, because of surgery. But we still have to invite that into our lives. We have to engineer it, or when that unexpected chaos comes, we can handle it because we've actually trained ourselves mentally to understand it. I had a college coach. He died of cancer when I was a sophomore, Pat Malley. He was a great man. He said, you can tell the true nature of a man by how he handles losing. And I think if Pat were here today, he would say, and adversity, how he handles adversity. Number 9, and our last one on this thing, this list has been brutal, right? Mental toughness is a brutal journey. It's a grinding climb. It's a treacherous descent. But here we are, we're at the trail's end where, the Diet Coke is in the cooler, the water is in the cooler, the jerky sticks are in the cooler, you're just coming around the corner. I remember my son Darby and I did a backpack deer hunt, and he had the flu the day we drove up there. He's so tough. He's so tough. He had the flu, and we walked in, listen to this, 3,500 feet of gain, and we walked in 3.5 miles in a snowstorm. We camped in a root ball, it was a root ball because a tree had been blown up. We kind of camped in this root ball, and I remember coming back from that hunting trip. It was just horrible, horrible trip. We were coming back, and I remember every corner we just were looking for the truck. We were freezing. We were hungry. I had the greatest cup of coffee in my life that day at the trailhead. It was a Jet Boil Via from Starbucks. I poured in there with no cream. I drank it black. But man, what I'm trying to say here is this, guys, is that, man, you get to the end of the trail and it's all worth it. I had a guy, I love the Backcountry podcast, and on that show one time, the guy said, no matter how far I am in the wilderness, I know I'm about 2 hours away from a hamburger. I mean, yeah, usually you can get out of the hill in an hour, or whatever, and you're a couple hours away from a hamburger. So as hard as it may seem to you, you're usually pretty close to salvation. You're usually pretty close to comfort. Session 9 is this. All of these things don't matter unless we have play, a season of rest. Something happened this year that has never happened before. I've been for 30, this year I experienced something. So I've got a team of 9 men and women working for me. 6 of them are women. We have strong women on our team. And I remember after our fundraising banquet a couple months ago, all of them got with my wife and confronted me on my schedule. You're speaking too much. You're gone too much. Your schedule is too much. And so I committed, because I knew I was coming into the busiest schedule in my 36 years of ministry. I was coming into my busiest time ever in all the years I've been in ministry. I had a book launch. We had our banquet. We had 5 speaking engagements all out of town. And as I'm standing here today, I've got one more to go. And my wife and I are going off to a safari with 5 other couples. But my assistant, along with my wife and my female staff, forced me to take Thursday off before I leave on a Friday. And when I come home Sunday, forced me to take Monday off. And I was kicking and screaming. But I'm going to be honest with you right now. I am in the best place I've ever been at this time of the year, especially considering how brutal my schedule was, because I had some strong women factored in play and rest. I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you this right now. The blade gets dull and needs sharpening. When we get tired, we are tempted to cheat. When we get tired, we are tempted to do stupid things. When we are tired, we get tempted to fall away from our habits and values. In other words, you can only push yourself so far and so long before you burn out and crash. We have to rest. Sabbath day, God created the Sabbath for us. He did not create it for himself. He rested after creation to give us an example. He did not need the rest. It is for us. And this is super important for us to understand that, guys. I need time to renew. I need time to rest my body. And it is okay to play. And it is okay to rest. And I am not apologizing for the week that we're going to be in South Africa on an African safari. And I'm not apologizing for the week after that. My board of directors has graciously blessed Shanna. She's taken me with her, but they blessed Shanna with a trip to Mauritius, the island country of Mauritius. We're going there and we're going to rest. I'm coming back from Mauritius, and guess what's going to happen? Are we going to rest? No, I'm writing a book. I'm super intimidated by this book, but I'm excited. But I cannot write this book from a place of weariness. I have to write this book from a place of rest. Your life and your ministry flows out of your marriage through a place of rest. Make sure you rest. You will not be, I'm a Lord of the Rings nerd. I remember at the end of Fellowship of the Ring, they're being chased by the Uruk-hai, and they've landed on the shore, and Gimli's complaining. And Aragorn says to him, get some food and get some rest. You need to regain your strength. And I thought, what a weird statement. You need food and rest because you're clearly weak right now and you need to regain your strength. And I thought, there is truth to that. I need to get food. I need to get rest. I need to get sleep. I need to regain my strength. In America, we work on average of 47 hours a week, and we brag about how busy we are. And honestly, guys, we probably should repent. We probably should repent. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this 2-week series, this very, very short series on climbing the mountain of mental toughness, this metaphor with the 9 areas of focus. They are from trail head to trail's end: purpose, principles, practice, persistence, proclamation, people, physiology, pain, and play. Guys, if you implement these 9 things, it will literally change your life. And you may think, wow, I don't feel like didn't quote enough Bible verses. You didn't give me an expository preaching. But I'll end with this, guys. The number one factor that I have seen that has caused men of God and pastors to fall and quit has been a lack of mental toughness brought on by a lack of rest, allowing sin in their lives, allowing the world's culture to influence them. It all comes back to mental toughness. We have to think about how our mental state affects our soul. Guys, I hope this helped you today. Until next time, feel the wet sand on the arena floor. Hear the deafening roar of the crowd. Taste the sweetness of victory. Smell the stench of battle. Get in the game. Get dirty. Grind it out. Climb the mountain of mental toughness and be a man.